Today we're looking into 4 strange theories that will challenge your perceptions and ignite your curiosity. First, we'll look into simulation theory, where reality itself may be nothing more than a complex digital construct. Could we all be living in a sophisticated simulation, crafted by advanced beings or future civilizations? The implications are both profound and unsettling. Next, we'll confront the phantom time hypothesis, a controversial idea suggesting that a significant portion of our history, including the early Middle Ages, was fabricated. Imagine entire centuries of events and figures simply conjured into existence to serve political agendas. We all hope that our timeline as we know it is true, but is it instead a carefully constructed lie created by the powers that be? Then, we'll descend into the depths of the hollow earth concept, a theory proposing that beneath our feet lies an expansive, habitable world hidden from view. From ancient myths to modern-day speculations, could there be vast caverns and civilizations thriving beneath the Earth's surface? And finally, we'll explore the Mandela effect, a phenomenon where collective false memories challenge our understanding of time and perception. How is it possible that so many people vividly recall events that never occurred? Whether you're a skeptic or a believer of these theories on the fringe of academia, the ideas are sure to spark curiosity and ignite debate either way. So join us as we uncover these 4 strange theories that continue to captivate minds worldwide. Throughout history, many thinkers have pondered the difference between appearances and reality, often using dreams, illusions, and hallucinations as metaphors. These age-old reflections set the stage for modern debates, like the simulation hypothesis, which questions the very nature of our existence. Imagine a world where everything we think, feel, smell, touch, see is actually an elaborate simulation, akin to a computer program, where even we are digital constructs. This mind-bending theory has sparked intense debate, from deep philosophical discussions to cutting-edge applications in modern computing. The simulation hypothesis, proposed by Nick Bostrom, emerges from a tradition of skeptical scenarios. Bostrom presents it not just as philosophical speculation, but as an empirical claim with measurable probabilities. Despite its compelling premise, the hypothesis has encountered substantial criticism from physicists, who have dismissed it as pseudoscience and impractical. Nevertheless, various versions of the hypothesis have permeated science fiction, notably serving as a central plot device in numerous stories and films, such as The Matrix. In the Western philosophical tradition, numerous examples illustrate the notion that our perceptions could be mere shadows of a more profound reality. For instance, Aztec philosophical texts posited that the world might be similar to a painting or book, authored by the Teotl, their divine force. Descartes further formalized these epistemic doubts with his concept of the evil demon, which has since sparked extensive literature exploring variations like the brain in a vat scenario. These historical and philosophical insights persistently resonate today, stimulating debates such as the simulation hypothesis and prompting us to reconsider our grasp on reality. Science fiction, together with predictions from serious technologists and futurologists, paints a future where immense computing power is within our grasp. Let's entertain the idea that these predictions hold true. Imagine future generations harnessing their super-powerful computers to meticulously simulate their ancestors or beings resembling them. With their vast computational abilities, they could generate countless simulations. If these simulated beings possess consciousness, it poses a provocative notion. The majority of minds like ours may not originate from an original biological race, but instead belong to simulations created by advanced descendants of that race. This scenario challenges fundamental concepts of identity and reality, inviting us to explore profound questions about existence and the nature of consciousness. The phantom time hypothesis proposes that a significant portion of the early Middle Ages never occurred and was fabricated through historical manipulation. It challenges the conventional chronology of the early Middle Ages, suggesting a deliberate manipulation of historical records to fabricate centuries that never existed. First proposed by Heribert Illig in 1991, the hypothesis posits that the years AD 614 to 911, a total of 297 years, were artificially inserted into the calendar by medieval scholars, particularly during the reigns of Otto III and Pope Sylvester II. Illig argued that political motivations drove this manipulation to enhance legitimacy and consolidate power. Illig states that this was achieved through altering, misrepresenting, and forging both documentary and physical evidence. According to the theory, the entire Carolingian period, including the iconic figure of Charlemagne, is purportedly a fabrication. Historians and archaeologists have rigorously critiqued the phantom time hypothesis, citing ample evidence from various disciplines. Archaeological findings, carbon dating, dendrochronology, and astronomical records all contradict the notion of a fabricated time period. The Schiehallion experiment and other scientific methods further undermine Illig's claims by demonstrating the continuity of historical events and material culture. Despite its rejection by mainstream academia, the hypothesis has sparked public interest and influenced alternative historical narratives. It remains a topic of fascination in popular culture and conspiracy theories, reflecting broader skepticism towards established historical accounts and official narratives. It raises questions about the reliability of historical sources, the role of political agendas in shaping historical narratives, and the impact of cultural biases on scholarly interpretation. On its face, it may seem at first that the phantom time hypothesis raises intriguing questions about historical chronology, but it fails to withstand scrutiny when confronted with extensive evidence from astronomy, archaeology, dating methods, and global historical contexts. The hypothesis lacks empirical support and overlooks the complexities and interdependencies of historical events across civilizations. The phantom time hypothesis is, however, a case study of how alternative historical theories challenge established paradigms. While scientifically untenable and widely discredited, its persistence in popular discourse underscores the public's fascination with hidden histories and skepticism towards official record-keeping. The concept of the hollow Earth proposes that Earth either has a completely hollow interior or contains a sizable inner space. Despite scientific refutation, belief in a hollow Earth persisted sporadically into the mid-19th century. However, by this time it had largely transitioned into popular pseudoscience and lost credibility as a scientific hypothesis. The concept of a hollow Earth continues to resurface in folklore and serves as a premise for subterranean fiction, a subgenre within adventure fiction. It also remains a topic within conspiracy theories featuring ideas such as the underground realm of Agartha and the crypto-terrestrial hypothesis. These theories often suggest that the hollow interior of Earth is inhabited by mythological beings or even hidden societies led by political figures. Since its proposal by Edmund Halley in 1692, the idea of a hollow Earth has sparked debate and speculation. Edmund Halley's hypothesis based on gravitational anomalies suggested Earth might be hollow. Pierre Bouguer and Charles Hutton's experiments in the 18th century refuted this notion, establishing the conventional understanding of Earth's structure. Subsequent advances in geophysics discredited the hollow Earth hypothesis by demonstrating the Earth's density and gravitational consistency do not support a hollow interior. Modern seismic studies and satellite observations further affirm the Earth's solid core and mantle structure. Beyond scientific inquiry, the hollow Earth concept has endured in cultural narratives, influencing literature, cinema, and conspiracy theories. The hollow Earth hypothesis remains a fascinating case study of how scientific inquiry intersects with cultural imagination. While scientifically debunked, its enduring presence underscores humanity's hunger and fascination with the unknown, and our capacity for speculative thought. Understanding its historical evolution and cultural impact provides insight into the dynamics of belief, skepticism, and the resilience of myth, regardless of scientific advancement. The Mandela effect, coined by paranormal researcher Fiona Broom, describes a curious phenomenon where a large group of people share specific false memories. Broom herself vividly recalled Nelson Mandela, the South African anti-apartheid leader, dying in prison in the 1980s, even though Mandela was actually alive until 2013, serving as president of South Africa from 1994 to 1999 after his release. Broom noted that hundreds of others reported similar memories of Mandela's death, some while he was still alive, leading her to speculate about the possibility of parallel realities. Another notable instance of shared false memories is documented in a 2010 study involving the clock at Bologna Centrale railway station, damaged during the Bologna massacre bombing in August 1980. Remarkably, 92% of respondents falsely remembered the clock remaining stopped since the bombing, though it had been repaired shortly after the attack. Years later, the clock was intentionally stopped and set to the time of the explosion as a symbolic act of commemoration. These examples underscore how collective memory can sometimes diverge from historical facts, prompting intriguing discussions about the nature of memory, perception, and the potential for alternate realities. Other examples of the Mandela effect are the Berenstain Bears. Many remember the children's book series as Berenstain Bears instead of its actual spelling, Berenstain, with an A, not an E. The Fruit of the Loom logo. Some recall the logo featuring a cornucopia, though it never did. Darth Vader's line. The famous line from The Empire Strikes Back is often misremembered as, "Luke, I am your father," when Vader actually says, "No, I am your father." Mr. Monopoly's monocle. Despite popular belief, the character Mr. Monopoly does not wear a monocle. The Shazam movie. Many believe there was a 1990s movie titled Shazam starring Sinbad as a genie, though no such film exists. These examples have sparked widespread discussion and even memes about the Mandela effect, with some attributing these false memories to cognitive factors such as social reinforcement, misleading information, and confabulation. Scientists suggest that shared false memories can arise from collective reinforcement of incorrect information, exposure to misleading media, or the blending of real and fictional elements over time. The phenomenon of the Mandela effect has become a cultural curiosity, prompting speculation and humorous theories about time travel and alternate realities altering our collective memory. Thank you for joining us here at Fireside Unsolved for this episode. We hope these 4 strange theories have sparked your curiosity and left you with more questions than answers. Whether you find yourself questioning reality, history, or your own memories, remember that the pursuit of knowledge often leads us down unexpected paths. If you enjoyed this exploration, please give us a thumbs up and share your thoughts in the comments below. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you never miss an episode with us around the fire, where we continue to uncover the mysteries that captivate us all. Thanks for watching Fireside Unsolved, and until next time, stay safe out there, you filthy bastards.
In November 2012, in the picturesque coastal city of Victoria, British Columbia, a young woman named Emma Fillipoff disappeared, leaving behind a life filled with artistic expression, seasonal work at a local seafood restaurant, and quiet contemplation in a women's shelter. Her disappearance sparked an intense search effort, spanning years and captivating the attention of a community determined to unravel the mystery surrounding her fate. Despite numerous leads and public appeals, Emma's whereabouts remain unknown, leaving her family and investigators grappling with unanswered questions and the haunting possibility of what might have befallen her on that November day in 2012. This is episode 83 on Fireside Unsolved, the haunting unsolved story of Emma Fillipoff. Emma Fillipoff was born on a cold winter day, January 6, 1986, to parents James and Shelley Fillipoff in the quiet town of Perth, Ontario, Canada. From an early age, Emma's gentle spirit and creativity set her apart. Growing up in the picturesque landscapes of Ontario, she often dreamt of exploring the world beyond her small-town confines. In the fall of 2011, seeking new experiences and a fresh start, Emma packed her belongings and made the journey to Victoria, British Columbia. Victoria, with its breathtaking coastal views and vibrant community, seemed like the perfect place for Emma to carve out a new chapter in her life. She found temporary solace working at the charming Redfish Bluefish seafood restaurant nestled in the bustling inner harbor. The job, though seasonal, provided her with a sense of purpose and a connection to the lively rhythm of the city. As the summer of 2012 faded into autumn, Emma's time at the restaurant came to an end on October 31st. Despite the chill in the air and the uncertainty that lay ahead, she remained optimistic, assuring her coworkers that she would return with the spring blooms. In what police believe now was a nod towards moving back to Ontario, Emma Fillipoff took a decisive step on November 21st, 2012. She hired a tow truck to transport her beloved Mazda MPV minivan from the quiet town of Souk to the Chateau Victoria parking garage, a hotel in Victoria, British Columbia. This action seemed methodical, almost as if she were meticulously planning her next steps. Yet beneath this seemingly organized exterior, a more complex story was unfolding. What Emma had been hiding from her family was that she had been staying at the Sandy Merriman House Women's Shelter on and off since February of that year. The shelter offered her a temporary haven, a place where she could find some semblance of safety amidst the chaos that seemed to have been encroaching upon her life. Then came November 23, 2012. On this day, Emma was captured on security footage at the Victoria YMCA, a place where she had often sought comfort. The footage was unsettling. It showed Emma entering, then leaving, then entering the building again multiple times. Her movements were erratic and filled with a palpable tension, as if she were trying to evade someone lurking outside. Each glance over her shoulder and every hesitant step added to the growing sense of dread and mystery surrounding her actions. In the days leading up to her mysterious disappearance, Emma Fillipoff made several distressing phone calls to her mother in Ontario. Each call was a roller coaster of emotions. Initially, Emma would plead to come home, her voice filled with desperation and longing. But just as quickly, her tone would shift, and she would implore her mother not to come, leaving a trail of confusion and heartache with every conversation. During one of these tumultuous calls, Emma's mother learned that her daughter had been staying at the Sandy Merriman House, a women's shelter. This revelation struck a chord of deep concern. Despite Emma's repeated requests for her not to intervene, her mother could no longer stand by helplessly. With a growing sense of urgency, she booked a flight to Victoria, determined to bring her daughter home. In their final conversation, Emma's last words to her mother were haunting. "I don't know how I can face you." On November 28th, the day Emma Fillipoff disappeared, her movements were like puzzle pieces scattered across Victoria, each one hinting at a deeper mystery. Early that morning, she reportedly spoke with staff at the Chateau Victoria around 7 a.m., but the content of their conversation is unknown. Later in the day, Emma was captured on a 7-Eleven store video on Government Street. The footage showed her purchasing a prepaid cell phone, but what was more telling was her hesitation upon leaving the store, as if she were wary of someone or something outside. Her anxiety was palpable as she returned to the 7-Eleven to buy a prepaid credit card for $200. By 6 p.m., she left the Sandy Merriman house, heading out on what would be her last known journey. Emma hailed a taxi, requesting to be taken to the Victoria International Airport. However, she exited the cab abruptly when she realized she didn't have enough cash for the fare, despite possessing the $200 prepaid card. This decision left her stranded and vulnerable. Minutes later, Emma was seen walking barefoot in front of the Empress Hotel, a sight that alarmed Dennis Key, an acquaintance who happened to be nearby. Disturbed by her distressed state, he called 911. Victoria police arrived promptly and spent 45 minutes talking with Emma, trying to assess her condition. Despite her obvious distress, they concluded she was not a threat to herself or others and let her go. As night fell, Emma's mother arrived in town around 11 p.m. and headed directly to the Sandy Merriman house, filled with dread and urgency for her daughter's current condition. By then, Emma had already vanished, last seen by police near the Empress Hotel hours earlier. The realization that she was 3 hours too late was a chilling blow. The police, now understanding the gravity of the situation, classified Emma as a missing person by midnight. Yet, in the enveloping darkness of that cold November night, Emma Fillipoff had slipped away, leaving behind only questions and a haunting sense of foreboding. In the beginning of the investigation, authorities found Emma's red 1993 Mazda MPV minivan in the Chateau Victoria parking garage, and found it containing almost all of Emma's belongings. Inside were her passport, library card, digital camera, clothes, a pillow, assorted ornaments, laptop, and recently borrowed library books. It seemed Emma had been using the van as storage, a makeshift home for her cherished possessions. Initially, police reported that Emma had last been seen with friends several blocks away on Burdett Avenue between Blanchard and Quadra Streets, but that report was never verified or confirmed accurate. Despite investigating over 200 leads, the information they uncovered was scant and inconclusive. Most evidence suggested she was planning to return home, yet there was no proof she had ever left Victoria. The cell phone she had purchased remained inactive, an eerie symbol of plans that never came to fruition. Adding to the mystery, Emma's credit card was found discarded on the side of the road near the Juan de Fuca Community Center, north of where she disappeared. A stranger discovered the card and used it to buy cigarettes, a transaction that was quickly tracked by police. This clue, like so many others in Emma Fillipoff's case, led to more questions than answers, deepening the mystery surrounding her disappearance. During the investigation, the police would discover that Emma Fillipoff was a prolific poet during her time in Victoria, filling pages with reflections and musings on her experiences. Despite the depth of her writing, none of it hinted that she was being stalked or followed by anyone. Although some of her poems conveyed a sense of depression, experts noted that her writing lacked the hallmarks of suicidal ideation. Contradicting this, staff at the Sandy Merriman House told Emma's mother that Emma required both physical and medical intervention, underscoring the complexity of her situation. The mystery deepened with a startling incident reported by the Campbell River Courier Islander in May 2014. Joel and Lori Sellon, business owners in Gastown, Vancouver, witnessed a man in their store discarding a $25,000 missing persons reward poster for Emma. The man reportedly declared, "She's not missing. She's my girlfriend. And she ran away because she hates her parents." Alarmed by this statement, the owners immediately contacted the police. Security cameras captured an image of the man, but despite this lead, he remains unidentified as of 2022. This unsettling encounter added another layer of confusion and urgency to the ongoing search for Emma Fillipoff. In the summer of 2018, a witness named William came forward with potentially crucial information about Emma's disappearance. He reported encountering a young woman in distress who matched Emma's description in nearby Esquimalt on the morning after she vanished. The news prompted authorities to organize a search of the View Royal area of Victoria in December 2018. Despite the thorough efforts of search teams, no additional clues were uncovered. Yet the search rekindled the community's determination to find Emma, leading to plans for another search in 2019. Each new piece of information, like William's sighting, fueled a relentless pursuit of answers, keeping the hope alive that Emma Fillipoff might one day be found. On November 29, 2021, marking the solemn 9th anniversary of Emma Fillipoff's disappearance, police took a proactive step in renewing efforts to find her. They released additional images of Emma, alongside pictures of her artwork, in the hopes of sparking new leads and garnering fresh information from the public. A year later, in November 2022, authorities took another significant step forward. They released an age progression image of Emma Fillipoff, envisioning how she might look today. This strategic move aimed to encourage anyone who may have encountered or observed Emma over the years to come forward with any pertinent information that could aid in solving the enduring mystery of her disappearance. Each release of new materials underscored the ongoing commitment to bringing closure to Emma Fillipoff's case and providing answers to her family and loved ones. In November 2023, a renewed effort to identify the man who tore down Emma Fillipoff's missing persons poster was launched, marking a significant development in the long-standing investigation. Dubbed the Green Shirt Man due to his distinctive attire captured on the store's security camera, Victoria Police released a police sketch of the individual. The initiative aimed to locate and contact this person, whose actions raised suspicion and prompted concern within the community and law enforcement alike. The search for the Green Shirt Man represented a pivotal step in unraveling the mystery surrounding Emma Fillipoff's disappearance, urging anyone with information to come forward and assist in the ongoing efforts to find this unknown man. At the time of her disappearance, Emma Fillipoff was 26 years old, standing at 5 feet 5 inches tall and weighing between 90 to 110 pounds. She had striking brown eyes and light brown hair, often seen adorned with knitted hats. Emma's tan complexion and unusually long hair were distinctive features that could help identify her. She did not have any tattoos, and while she had pierced her ears in the past, she did not currently wear any piercings. This physical description is vital for anyone who may have encountered Emma or has information that could aid in locating her. If you have any information regarding Emma Fillipoff's whereabouts or any leads that could help in finding her, please reach out and call Crime Stoppers anonymously at 1-800-222-TIPS or the Victoria Police Department at 250-9957-654. Your information could be crucial in bringing closure to Emma's case and providing answers to her family and community. As the years have passed since Emma Fillipoff's disappearance, the search for answers continues to resonate deeply within the Victoria community and beyond. Despite extensive efforts from law enforcement, ongoing public awareness campaigns, and the unwavering dedication of Emma's loved ones, her fate remains unknown. Each new lead and possible sighting sparks hope, yet it often leads to more questions, underscoring the complexity of her case. As we reflect on Emma Fillipoff's life and the mystery that surrounds her disappearance, we honor her memory by keeping her story alive and maintaining vigilance in the search for truth. The hope remains that one day, the answers will emerge, bringing peace to those who have tirelessly sought justice and resolution in her name.
Thank you for joining us for another episode of... Welcome back to Fireside Unsolved, where we gather around the fire to explore the mysteries that leave us questioning the world around us. A quick note before we get started, this episode is heavily focused on noises and sounds, so it will be best experienced with headphones. Today we're diving into the stories behind the unexplainable noises that have fascinated humanity across the ages. We'll hear strange sounds that seem to come from inanimate objects, mountains, oceans, and seemingly out of nowhere. So settle in, get cozy, and prepare for episode 84 on Fireside Unsolved, Unexplained and Mysterious Sounds Throughout History. In February 2016, the usually peaceful town of Forest Grove, Oregon, found itself at the center of a strange and unsettling mystery. Residents began hearing a high-pitched noise at night, which the Oregonian described as a mechanical scream. This bizarre sound echoed through the town, intermittently, lasting anywhere from 10 seconds to several minutes. It wasn't long before the noise caught the attention of both the local community and the media. The initial alert came when a resident posted a video of the noise on Forest Grove's Facebook page, sparking widespread curiosity and concern.
Strange noise in Forest Grove is getting a lot of attention today. It's coming from something off of Gales Creek Road.
Yeah, it's not just strange, it's really annoying, actually.
Neighbors in this Forest Grove neighborhood have no idea what this mystery sound is, but they agree on three things. It's loud, obnoxious, and they want it to stop.
The tone is very high, so it gets to a point where it really affects your hearing.
For now, the mystery continues.
We're just hoping that maybe somebody might be able to identify it so we can report it and have it stop happening.
The Washington Post said it sounded like a giant flute played off pitch, car brakes, or a steam whistle, while NBC News compared it to a bad one-note violin solo with non-stop feedback. Despite these vivid descriptions, no one could pinpoint where the sound was coming from or what was causing it. Residents reached out to the City of Forest Grove Public Works Department and the Fire Department, but both were stumped. The Department of Forestry confirmed their equipment wasn't the source, and Northwest Natural Gas assured everyone that there were no gas line issues in the area. It seemed like the mystery got stranger with every passing night. Andrew Dawes, a physics professor at Pacific University, decided to take a scientific approach. He mapped out all the locations where people reported hearing the sound. Unfortunately, the results were inconclusive and didn't lead to any specific location. Meanwhile, the Forest Grove Police Department was flooded with calls, around 200 in total. Captain Mike Herb noted that people offered all sorts of theories, from frogs to Bigfoot. By late February of 2016, the police announced on Facebook that the noise, while strange and annoying, didn't pose a safety hazard. They decided to halt their investigation unless new information came to light. Interestingly, the noise stopped as suddenly as it had started, with the last reported instance reported on February 27, 2016, after which the town returned to its usual quiet. Dave Nemeyer, the Forest Grove fire marshal, had a theory that the noise might have been caused by something mundane, like a faulty attic fan or a heat pump. Despite these plausible explanations, the true source of the Forest Grove sound remains a mystery, leaving the town with an intriguing story to tell for years to come. In 27 BCE, a powerful earthquake struck the ancient statues known as the Colossi of Memnon, shattering the northern Colossus and causing it to collapse from the waist up while cracking the lower half. Following this dramatic rupture, the remaining lower portion of the statue gained a peculiar reputation for singing at dawn. This mysterious sound, reported most frequently in February and March, likely due to the influx of tourists rather than any seasonal pattern, intrigued visitors and scholars alike. The earliest literary mention of this phenomenon comes from the Greek historian and geographer Strabo, who documented hearing the sound during his visit in 20 BCE. By then, the singing was already a well-known curiosity. Descriptions of the sound varied. Strabo likened it to a blow, while Pausanias compared it to the snapping of a lyre string. Other accounts described it as the striking of brass or a whistling noise. Ancient writers such as Pliny the Elder, Tacitus, Philostratus, and Juvenal also recorded their or others' encounters with the vocal colossus. Additionally, the base of the statue is covered with about 90 inscriptions from contemporary tourists, noting whether they had heard the sound. The legend of the vocal memnon spread far and wide, with the sound believed to bring good luck to those who heard it. The statue's supposed oracular powers attracted a steady stream of visitors, including several Roman emperors, eager to experience the phenomenon. The last reliable mention of the sound dates back to 196 CE. Later in the Roman era, the statue was partially reconstructed with upper tiers of sandstone, an addition attributed to Emperor Septimius Severus around 199 CE. However, Severus did not hear the sound during his visit, and the reconstruction likely ceased the vocal emissions by altering the statue's structural integrity. Various explanations have been proposed for the singing. Natural theories suggest the sound was caused by rising temperatures at dawn, leading to the evaporation of dew within the statue's porous rock. Strabo himself could not determine the exact source of the noise, speculating whether it came from the pedestal, the shattered upper area, or the people gathered around the base. Similar sounds, though much rarer, have been reported at other Egyptian monuments, notably at Karnak. The addition of the reconstructed upper tiers likely silenced the singing, providing a convincing argument against human tampering as the cause. In the early modern era, a few mentions of the sound emerged, but these are generally considered hoaxes, either by the writers or locals trying to perpetuate the legend. Despite the cessation of the mysterious noise, the legend of the vocal memnon remains an intriguing chapter in ancient history, blending the marvels of natural phenomena with human curiosity. Reports of this eerie sound began to surface in the mid-2010s from the Canadian Arctic. Specifically, it's been heard in the Fury and Hekla Strait, a narrow channel of water located in the Qikiqtaaluk region of Nunavut. The ping is described as a high-pitched, almost mechanical noise that can be heard through the hulls of boats and even by divers underwater. It's an intermittent sound, meaning it doesn't follow a predictable pattern, making it even more perplexing. But what makes the ping particularly unsettling is its sheer volume. This sound is loud enough to scare away marine life, which has had a significant impact on local hunting practices. The indigenous Inuit community, who rely on these waters for sustenance, first brought the phenomenon to the attention of authorities. One of the first explanations considered was natural environmental factors. The Arctic is a dynamic environment with shifting ice, fluctuating temperatures, and underwater currents that could potentially produce such sounds. Icebergs colliding, hitting land, or scraping against each other can create a variety of noises that can be heard over extremely long distances. While it's true that ice movements can generate significant underwater noise, the characteristics of the ping don't quite match up with what we'd expect from ice. The sound is too consistent in its pitch and too localized to one area to be solely attributed to ice activity. The ocean is home to a vast array of marine creatures, many of which communicate using sound. Whales, for example, produce a wide range of noises from songs to clicks and pulses. However, as stated earlier, local hunters have reported a noticeable decline in marine life around the area where the ping was heard. It seems the sound might actually be driving animals away, rather than being produced by them. Marine animals do produce various sounds, but the intensity and mechanical nature of the ping are unusual. It's possible that an unknown species could be responsible, but given the disruption to marine life, it's more likely the sound is anthropogenic, meaning it's man-made. Another possibility is that the sound could be related to mining or drilling operations. However, no active projects were reported in the area during the time the sound was heard. Sonar could be a reason, used by submarines and ships for navigation and communication. Sonar systems can produce loud, high-pitched noises underwater. It's plausible that the ping could be related to military sonar testing. The Arctic is a strategic region, and various countries conduct exercises there. However, these activities are typically classified, so confirming this is challenging. If something like military sonar is indeed the cause, it raises questions about transparency and the impact on local communities and wildlife. Another human-related theory is that the sound could be generated by underwater infrastructure, such as cables or pipelines. Underwater cables and pipelines crisscross our oceans, carrying data and resources across vast distances. These structures can produce noise due to water currents, maintenance activities, or even faults and damage. However, according to public records, there are no known underwater installations in the immediate vicinity of Fury and Hecla Strait. The Canadian government has taken the reports of the ping seriously. In 2016, they deployed military aircraft to investigate the sound. However, the investigation yielded no concrete results, leaving the mystery unsolved. Investigations are still ongoing, with underwater microphones and other sensors being deployed to monitor the area. Future research may involve more sophisticated technology, such as autonomous underwater vehicles and satellite monitoring. The hope is that with more data, we can finally uncover the source of the ping. Moodus, Connecticut is a small town with a big mystery that has intrigued locals and visitors for generations. Known for its strange and eerie sounds that echo through the woods, these Moodus noises have earned a reputation that makes the town infamous. The sounds, which many believe are caused by shallow micro-earthquakes, are most strongly heard from Cave Hill, a picturesque spot nestled next to Mount Tom and owned by the Cave Hill Resort. The history of the Moodus noises goes back centuries and is deeply rooted in the cultural and spiritual practices of the local Native American tribes. According to David Phillips, author of Legendary Connecticut, these noises were central to an indigenous religious cult that was significant to the local Algonquin chiefs. These leaders, along with members of the Pequot, Mohegan, and Narragansett tribes, would gather around Mount Tom to commune with the god Hobomok. Allison Guinness, a local historian, adds that the Wangum tribe was also involved in these sacred gatherings. Hobomok was considered the spirit of the dead, a powerful deity who could bring both good and bad fortune depending on his mood. To the native tribes, he was a complex figure, akin to the Greek gods Zeus or Hades, capable of both benevolent and malevolent acts. However, the Puritan settlers who later arrived in the area viewed Hobomok through a different lens, considering him an evil spirit to be feared. The Moodus noises have not only shaped the spiritual and cultural history of the region, but have also seeped into popular culture. The mysterious sounds inspired H.P. Lovecraft's story, The Dunwich Horror, adding an element of the supernatural to their already eerie reputation. The town has embraced this unique aspect of its identity to such an extent that the local high school has named its athletic teams the Noises, a nod to the town's mysterious and haunting heritage. Listening to these noises, you might hear what sounds like distant thunder, a rumbling that seems to come from deep within the earth, or sometimes sharp, almost metallic sounds that make you question their origin. Residents describe feeling a mix of curiosity and unease when the noises occur.
All right, did you hear it this morning? Reports of noise and shaking rattled East Hampton this morning. It's what geologists call Moodus noises.
Hi, Stephanie. Well, they're called Moodus noises, like you said. They were reported coming from this area, the East Haddam, East Hampton, and Moodus areas, this general region. Now, the town of East Hampton says they had reports of loud noise and shaking, but people do tell me, I had to ask a few people around town today, and they do tell me you can hear a loud boom and it feels like an earthquake. But the thing is, it's heard on and off for centuries. They're random. They come and go as they please, on and off every few decades. So we really don't know when we're going to hear the next one. It could be next week. It could be in 10 years. And no one can really pinpoint exactly where these are coming from.
A reminder of the natural and supernatural history that continues to linger in the air. The scientific community has also shown interest in the Moodus noises. Geologists attribute the sounds to shallow micro-earthquakes, tiny shifts in the Earth's crust that produce significant noise. Cave Hill and the surrounding areas, with their unique geological features, create a perfect natural amplifier for these sounds, making them audible over long distances. Despite these scientific explanations, the exact nature and cause of the noises often remain elusive, adding to their mysterious allure. The Moodus noises are more than just an unexplained auditory phenomenon. They are a vital part of the town's identity and heritage. They remind us of the deep historical and cultural roots that run through the land, connecting the present to a rich and mystical past. Whether you're a believer in the supernatural or a skeptic with a scientific bent, the Moodus noises offer a compelling and mysterious experience that continues to captivate and mystify all who hear them. We hope you enjoyed this journey with us as we looked into the world of unexplained and mysterious sounds throughout history. Don't forget to subscribe to be a part of the Fireside Unsolved family, and if you enjoyed the show, please comment and leave a like. Your support helps us continue to explore the unexplained and unsolved and bring these fascinating stories to light. Until next time, we'll keep the fire burning on Fireside Unsolved.
Have you ever looked at a stone and wondered about the secrets locked within? Throughout history, certain rocks and stones have fascinated scholars, adventurers, and enthusiasts alike. These mysterious formations, etched with mysterious carvings or possessing unusual properties, stand as silent witnesses to civilizations past and puzzles unsolved. Imagine discovering a pair of intriguing pillars near Aberdeen, Scotland in the 19th century, or stumbling upon a stone that might predate the solar system itself. These remarkable stones, scattered across the globe, offer us tantalizing glimpses into lost civilizations, ancient beliefs, and maybe even connections to worlds beyond our own. Join us as we uncover the strange rocks and stones that have not only helped shape human history, but continue to captivate our imaginations with their stories. Welcome to Fireside Unsolved, Episode 85, Strange Rocks and Stones Throughout History. The Dighton Rock is a massive 40-ton boulder that was found resting in the Taunton River at Berkeley, Massachusetts, and has become famous for its intriguing petroglyphs. These carvings depict a variety of lines, geometric shapes, and schematic drawings of people, along with both confirmed and disputed forms of writing. The exact origins of these engravings remain a subject of intense debate among scholars and historians. The rock itself is a slanted, six-sided block, standing approximately 5 feet tall, 9.5 feet wide, and 11 feet long. Made from gray-brown crystalline sandstone, its surface is marked by a trapezoidal face tilted at a 70-degree angle northwestward, originally facing towards the bay. In 1680, Reverend John Danforth sketched the petroglyphs adorning the Dighton Rock, a record now safeguarded within the hallowed halls of the British Museum. His rendition stands as a unique snapshot, capturing details that diverge from subsequent observations and the current state of the markings. In 1690, Reverend Cotton Mather vividly portrayed the rock in his seminal work, The Wonderful Works of God Commemorated. Within its pages, he eloquently described the mysterious and intricate engravings etched upon its weathered surface, evoking a sense of awe and curiosity about the ancient inscriptions. Among the other curiosities of New England, one is that of a mighty rock, on a perpendicular side whereof by a river, which at high tide covers part of it, there are very deeply engraved. No man alive knows how or when, about 60 lines, near 10 foot long, and 1.5 feet broad, filled with strange characters, which would suggest as odd thoughts about them that were here before us, as there are odd shapes in that elaborate monument. Contrary to Mather's portrayal of deeply incised markings, early reports suggested that the indentations on the Dighton Rock were not particularly profound. Descriptions and depictions over the centuries have varied, indicating considerable weathering and presenting challenges in deciphering the intricate carvings. Theories about the markings' origins include indigenous peoples of North America, who created similar petroglyphs, ancient Phoenicians, proposed in 1783 by Ezra Stiles, Norse explorers, suggested in 1837 by Carl Christian Raffin but later rejected by archaeologists, Portuguese explorers, particularly Miguel Corte Real, suggested by Edmund B. de la Barre in 1912, Chinese explorers, proposed by Gavin Menzies in his 2002 book, 1421, The Year China Discovered America. In November 1952, the Miguel Corte Real Memorial Society acquired land adjacent to the Dighton Rock with intentions to establish a park. However, a year prior, in 1951, the Massachusetts legislature intervened by expropriating the land for state park purposes. By 1963, efforts to preserve the rock led to its removal from the riverbed and relocation to a museum within Dighton Rock State Park. Recognizing its historical significance, the site was formally listed on the National Register of Historic Places in 1971. The Hypatia stone was unearthed in December 1996 by Ali A. Barakat in close proximity to a dense, glassy material resembling Libyan desert glass. There is widespread consensus that the rock originated from beyond Earth. Originally weighing approximately 30 grams, the initial sample was dissected and distributed among several laboratories for examination, ultimately reducing its mass to about 4 grams. The designation of the Hypatia stone, named after Hypatia of Alexandria, who lived approximately 360 AD to 415 AD, a celebrated philosopher, astronomer, mathematician, and inventor, diverges from the customary practice of naming meteorites after nearby geographical sites. In South Africa, scientists Jan Kramers and Georgi Belyanin from the University of Johannesburg conducted experiments revealing that the Hypatia stone contains microscopic diamonds. This finding, along with unusual isotopic distributions previously unseen in known sources, supports the hypothesis that the Hypatia stone originated from beyond Earth. Despite debates over possible contamination from Earth, proponents argue that any such contamination likely occurred through impact processes, involving incorporation of terrestrial atmosphere, the mechanics of which are still not fully understood. Additional statistical analyses bolster the hypothesis that the stone originated from the theoretical celestial body responsible for the chemically distinct Libyan desert glass. If this correlation holds, the Hypatia stone likely collided with Earth around 28 million years ago. Its exceptional chemical composition has sparked conjecture that it might even predate the formation of our solar system. In 2018, Belyanin, Kramers, and their research team unearthed a variety of compounds within the stone, including polyaromatic hydrocarbons, silicon carbide, and a novel nickel phosphide compound. These findings, alongside observations of silicon to carbon ratios divergent from terrestrial norms and those of major planets like Mars and Venus, point towards the Hypatia stone's likely extraterrestrial origin. While some similarities to interstellar dust exist, its elemental makeup also bears resemblances to earthly materials. In 2022, Kramers and Andreoli proposed an intriguing theory that the Hypatia stone could represent the earliest evidence on Earth of a type Ia supernova explosion. They theorized that the stone's distinctive properties might stem from materials forged in such a cataclysmic stellar event. Despite these compelling discoveries, independent studies confirming or refuting its extraterrestrial origins have yet to be conducted. Thus, the scientific community remains tantalized by the Hypatia stone's mysterious nature, awaiting further investigation to unlock its secrets. Perched on a steep hill commanding a sweeping vista of Cuzco, the formidable complex of Sacsayhuaman stands as a testament to ancient Inca ingenuity. Archaeological findings from surface pottery collections suggest that the hilltop's earliest habitation dates back to around 900 CE. According to Inca oral traditions, Tupac Inca recalled his father Pachacuti dubbing Cuzco the Lion City. He envisioned the city's layout. The confluence of 2 rivers formed the tail. The bustling Great Square and its encircling houses represented the body, yet the city lacked a definitive head. Thus, the Inca decided that a fortress atop a lofty plateau north of the city would serve as the perfect crown for their lion city. In the 15th century, during the reign of the imperial Inca, this settlement at Sacsayhuaman underwent a monumental expansion. The Inca engineers crafted awe-inspiring dry stone walls using massive blocks of stone, unmatched in size and precision throughout pre-Hispanic America. These stones, meticulously cut and fitted, are so tightly joined that not even a single sheet of paper can slide between many of them. Their rounded corners, diverse interlocking shapes, and inward-leaning design are thought to have been key factors in the fortress's resilience against Cusco's frequent earthquakes. Among these walls, the longest stretches approximately 1,300 feet in length and stands 20 feet tall, or 400 meters by 6 meters. The combined volume of stone used exceeds 6,000 cubic meters, almost 65,000 square feet of stone. The largest limestone blocks weighed between 128 to nearly 200 tons each, which is approximately 400,000 pounds. These colossal stones were quarried approximately 35 kilometers away, 21 miles, at Rumicolca, a testament to the Incas' remarkable engineering prowess and organizational skills. After the siege of Cusco, the Spaniards swiftly repurposed Sacsayhuaman as a quarry for their ambitious reconstruction of Spanish Cusco. Within a short span, they systematically dismantled much of the complex, extracting stones to erect new governmental, religious, and elite residential structures. Garcilaso de la Vega recounted their pragmatic approach, noting that to circumvent the laborious techniques employed by indigenous craftsmen, the Spaniards dismantled all the finely crafted masonry from the walls. Vince Lee, known for his expertise as an author, architect, and explorer, has delved into the mysteries of ancient sites that feature massive megalithic structures. His hypothesis suggests an intricate method for positioning these colossal blocks. First, they were meticulously carved to precise dimensions, ensuring snug joints that fit into pre-prepared recesses in the walls. According to Lee's theory, the process involved towing the blocks up inclined ramps and positioning them atop stacks of logs. Gradually removing the logs one by one allowed the stones to be carefully lowered into place. Although experimental trials on a smaller scale yielded mixed results, Lee posits that the Incas likely possessed the capability to hoist stones back up to rectify any imperfect joints initially made. Lee's investigations extended to nearby Ollantaytambo, where further experiments in towing megalithic stones encountered varying degrees of success. Notably, their attempt to lower a 1-ton stone down a mountain ended in loss of control, highlighting the necessity for meticulous control during such operations. Conversely, they achieved success in moving a nearly 10-ton stone on cobblestones, employing a coordinated effort of over 100 individuals pulling on numerous ropes, complemented by a dozen pushing from behind. These endeavors shed light on the ingenuity and challenges involved in the ancient Inca techniques for handling and placing monumental stone blocks. The Inca civilization left an indelible mark with a sprawling road network spanning 25,000 kilometers or 15,500 miles, incorporating paved stone routes. Despite numerous attempts, modern experiments to transport large megaliths have yet to fully replicate the remarkable feats witnessed by Pedro Chiesa de Leon in the 16th century. Notably, the largest megaliths presently found at these sites exceed twice the size of those described by Chiesa de Leon, underscoring the enduring mystery of Sacsayhuaman. Today, only the colossal stones that proved too cumbersome to transport remain scattered across the site, serving as enduring reminders of both the Incas' engineering prowess and the rapid transformation of their imperial capital under Spanish rule. In 1804, the Earl of Aberdeen came across 2 curious upright stones during road construction. These stones were excavated and relocated to the garden of Alexander Gordon, an antiquarian residing at Newton House. Believed to originate from the 6th or 7th centuries, they hold ancient engravings. In a letter penned on September 10, 1885, Lord Aberdeen reflected, "The stone at the time to which I refer might have been passed by thousands without characters being at all observed. The rugged surface and the rude manner in which the letters are inscribed rendered them little likely to attract notice." The Newton stone comprises one of these 2 pillars, with the first pillar standing approximately 2 meters tall, slightly shorter than its counterpart. According to Scottish heritage authorities, the symbols carved into the first pillar distinctly belong to the Pictish tradition, featuring motifs like a serpent, a Z-rod, and a double disc. These symbols are not unique to the Newton stone and have been identified at other Pictish sites across Scotland. Alternatively, some scholars speculate that the stone could represent a form of Pictish script yet to be fully deciphered. The proximity of another Pictish stone, the Bransbutt stone in Aberdeenshire, which also features a serpent carving, hints at a potential pilgrimage route connecting these significant sites. This association adds layers to the mystery surrounding the Newton stone, captivating historians and linguists who continue to explore its meaning and significance. Given the scarcity of artifacts left by the Picts from the early Middle Ages, such carved stones are crucial for unraveling their historical legacy. In contrast, the second stone presents a more interesting puzzle. Inscriptions on the left side of the pillar are speculated to be in Ogham, an ancient script associated with Irish and Brittonic languages. Ogham is characterized by long lines marked with slashes and dashes, possibly spelling out the name Ethernan, though the exact significance remains unknown. The right half of the Newton stone presents a compelling mystery with its strange script and peculiar symbols, including a swastika. Despite efforts, the meaning of these carvings remains undeciphered, leading some to speculate that they might be nonsensical. Since 1814, various writers have published interpretations of the script in hopes of capturing the interest of linguists, resulting in a plethora of theories. Cracking the code of this unknown script is crucial to unraveling the secrets held by the Newton stone. Scholars have proposed 5 ancient languages as potential candidates: debased Latin, Greek, Gaelic, Phoenician, and Gnostic symbolism. Additionally, there are suggestions that the script could be a blend of Hebrew, Canaanite, Hittite, and Bactrian influences. George Moore, in his work Ancient Stone Pillars of Scotland, pointed out similarities between the characters on the stone and those found on Bactrian coins and Buddhist rock inscriptions from northwestern India. These connections have fueled further speculation about the origins and purpose of the inscriptions on the Newton stone. English antiquarian Thomas Wright proposed that the script could be debased Latin, translating it to Hae Facit Constantinus, suggesting it could be a headstone marking the resting place of Constantinus, the son of someone. Another compelling idea suggests a Phoenician connection, interpreting the text as a dedication to Eshmun, the Phoenician god of health, accompanied by a heartfelt plea from Han Thanat Zenaniah, a sorrowful magistrate. The presence of the serpent symbol, associated with Eshmun, led to speculation that the stone might have served as a healing monument. Despite these interpretations, the possibility remains that remnants of Roman armies, who lingered in Britain after the 5th century departure, left their imprint on the stone. This raises intriguing questions about its cultural origins and the people who might have carved it. As we conclude our exploration of strange rocks and stones throughout history, one thing becomes clear. These ancient relics are more than just geological formations. They are portals to the past, repositories of forgotten knowledge, and catalysts for ongoing scientific inquiry. From the Newton stone in Scotland to the formidable walls of Sacsayhuaman in Peru, each stone tells a story of human ingenuity and mystery. Across continents and centuries, these stones challenge us to reconsider what we know about our history, our planet, and even our place in the universe. The enduring mysteries surrounding these stones continue to inspire curiosity, research, and wonder. Looking to the future, as our civilization leaves its own marks on the earth, perhaps future generations will ponder the significance of our handprints in concrete driveways and even our initials in the sidewalk. Just as we decipher ancient scripts and symbols, they will unravel the stories embedded in the artifacts of our time, forging connections across the ages. They remind us that the journey of discovery is ongoing, and the wonders of our world are limitless for those who dare to seek them. Thank you for watching this episode, and we'll see you next time. Fireside. The disappearance of Amy Lynn Bradley remains a haunting mystery that has captivated the true crime community for over 2 decades. A talented athlete and recent college graduate, Amy vanished without a trace from a Caribbean cruise in 1998, sparking numerous theories and extensive investigations. From reported sightings to compelling leads and heartbreaking scams, the search for Amy has navigated through twists and turns, leaving her family and investigators grappling with unanswered questions. This is Fireside Unsolved, Episode 86, The Unsolved Disappearance of Amy Lynn Bradley. Amy Lynn Bradley, born on May 12, 1974, in Petersburg, Virginia, was a woman of many talents and aspirations. A standout athlete, she earned a degree in physical education from Longwood University on a basketball scholarship, and her expertise extended to lifeguarding, where her swimming skills were renowned. Following graduation, Amy was poised to start a new chapter in her life, having secured a position at a prominent computer consulting firm. To celebrate this milestone, she joined her family on a luxurious cruise aboard the Royal Caribbean international ship Rhapsody of the Seas, bound for the picturesque island of Curaçao in the Dutch Caribbean. On Saturday, March 21, 1998, Amy Lynn Bradley and her family set sail on the Royal Caribbean cruise from San Juan, Puerto Rico, for Curaçao. Their first stop was the serene and picturesque island of Aruba, where the sun-drenched beaches promised relaxation and adventure. By Monday, March 23, 1998, the Rhapsody of the Seas had left Aruba behind, cutting through the deep blue of international waters en route to its next destination, Curaçao in the Netherlands Antilles. The cruise, intended as a celebration, was about to take a dark and unexpected turn that would change the Bradley family and spark one of the most enduring mysteries in maritime history. Before her disappearance, Amy Lynn Bradley and her brother Brad enjoyed a lively evening aboard the Rhapsody of the Seas. The night was filled with dancing at a Mardi Gras-themed nightclub party, accompanied by the ship's band, Blue Orchid. Among the band members was Alistair Douglas, known as Yellow, who shared drinks and danced with Amy that night. A videographer named Chris Fenwick captured a poignant moment of Amy and Yellow dancing together. As the night wore on, Brad decided to return to their family cabin, arriving precisely at 3:35 a.m., according to the ship's computerized door lock system. Amy arrived just 5 minutes later. The siblings spent some time on the suite's balcony, chatting and soaking in the night air. Eventually, Brad went to bed, leaving Amy on the balcony, where she remained awake for a while longer before eventually dozing off. Between 5:15 a.m. and 5:30 a.m. on March 24, 1998, Amy's father, Ron, woke up to check on his children. He noticed Amy still asleep on a lounge chair on their cabin's balcony. Recalling the moment, Ron later shared with local papers, "I could see Amy's legs from her hips down. I dozed back off to sleep. The balcony door was closed because if it hadn't been closed, I would have gotten up and closed it." At 6 a.m., when Ron woke up again, Amy was no longer on the balcony. Her cigarettes and lighter were missing. Concerned, Ron began searching the cruise ship, hoping to find her. "When I couldn't find her, I didn't really know what to think, because it was very much unlike Amy to leave and not tell us where she was going," he later explained. At 6:30 a.m., Ron woke the rest of the family, informing them that Amy was missing. Amy's family immediately notified the ship's crew, urging them to prevent the 2,000 passengers from disembarking and to make an announcement to aid in locating her. However, the purser's office initially deemed it too early for a ship-wide announcement. It wasn't until 7:50 a.m., after most passengers had already left the ship, that an announcement finally went out. "Will Amy Bradley please come to the purser's desk?" Between 12:15 p.m. and 1 p.m., the cruise staff conducted a search of the ship but found no trace of Amy. The delay in initiating the search and investigation, coupled with the decision to allow passengers to disembark, drew sharp criticism for potentially compromising the chances of finding Amy. The Dutch Caribbean Coast Guard launched an exhaustive 4-day search that concluded on March 27, 1998. Following this, Royal Caribbean Cruise Lines chartered a boat to continue the search efforts. The Coast Guard deployed 3 helicopters and a radar plane in their extensive operations, scouring the area for any sign of Amy Lynn Bradley. Initially, authorities speculated that Amy may have fallen overboard, or possibly taken her own life. However, this theory was quickly discarded due to Amy's exceptional swimming skills and the absence of her body in the waters. Furthermore, there was a lack of evidence suggesting foul play. On the morning of Amy's disappearance, 2 passengers approached Ron, claiming they had seen a woman resembling Amy in an elevator heading towards the ship's deck, carrying cigarettes and a lighter. Despite this lead, it did not yield any conclusive findings. Additionally, a taxi driver reported an encounter with a woman matching Amy's description, urgently seeking to use a phone. However, authorities were unable to confirm this sighting. In August 1998, a Canadian computer engineer came forward with a compelling sighting. He alleged to have seen Amy walking with 2 men on a beach in Curaçao, 5 months after her disappearance gained public attention. The witness stated the woman attempted to get his attention before disappearing into a nearby cafe. He asserted that the woman's tattoos matched those of Amy Bradley, claiming he was 2 feet away from her and certain of her identity. In January 1999, a U.S. Navy petty officer made a startling revelation. He alleged that he had encountered a woman at a brothel in Curaçao who identified herself as Amy Bradley. According to the petty officer, she pleaded for help, stating that she was being held against her will and unable to leave. Fearful for his Navy career, he did not report the incident at the time. It was only after retiring and seeing Amy's photo in a magazine that he contacted her family. Despite his detailed account, there was no corroborating evidence to substantiate his claim. Later that fall, Amy's parents received an email from someone identifying as Frank Jones, a self-proclaimed Navy SEAL and former U.S. Army Special Officer. Jones claimed his team had spotted Amy being held by heavily armed Colombian personnel in a fortified housing complex surrounded by barbed wire. He accurately described Amy's tattoos and even sang a lullaby known only to Amy's mother, adding a chilling credibility to his story. Over the following months, Frank Jones continued to feed Amy's family with updates and alleged sightings of their daughter. He eventually requested additional funds to finance a rescue attempt. Trusting in Jones's purported mission, the Bradleys sent him a total of $210,000 to support the search for Amy, anxiously awaiting news of the rescue mission's progress. But no such updates materialized. It later emerged that Jones had fabricated the entire story as a scam to extort money from the Bradleys. In February 2002, federal prosecutors in Richmond charged him with defrauding the Bradleys of approximately $24,000 and the National Missing Children's Organization of approximately $186,000. Jones pleaded guilty to mail fraud in April and was sentenced to 5 years in prison. This cruel deception only deepened the Bradleys' anguish, further complicating the already harrowing search for their missing daughter. In March 2005, a potential sighting of Amy Bradley was reported by a witness named Judy Moorer at a department store restroom in Barbados. Moorer recounted that a woman accompanied by 3 men entered the restroom, where the men allegedly threatened her if she did not comply with their demands. According to Moorer, After the men briefly left, she approached the distressed woman who identified herself as Amy and mentioned she was from Virginia. Before Maurer could intervene further, the men returned and forcibly took her away. Maurer promptly alerted authorities, who proceeded to create composite sketches of the three men and Amy based on her detailed account. On November 17, 2005, Amy Bradley's parents appeared on an episode of Dr. Phil where they shared a disturbing development. They received an email containing 2 photographs of a young woman who bore a striking resemblance to Amy. The email suggested that she might have been sold into the world of underground trafficking. These images were posted on the Bradley family website and caught the attention of an organization specializing in tracking victims involved in those circumstances beyond their control. The woman in the photos, known as Jazz, was described as appearing distraught and despondent, further deepening the mystery surrounding Amy's disappearance. Her mother noted that Amy, admired by many, might have been viewed as a trophy. Suspicions also arose around cruise staff and band members present that night. For instance, Yellow, the band member seen dancing with Amy the evening she disappeared, provided conflicting statements to authorities compared to CCTV footage. Concerns were also raised about a waiter who persistently approached Amy's family, attempting to deliver a note, inviting her for drinks, when the ship arrived back at the dock. Amy's family also discovered, strangely, that none of her photos were included among those printed by a professional photographer on board, fueling suspicion that they may have been intentionally removed. Authorities have explored various theories surrounding the disappearance of Amy Lynn Bradley, including one suggesting she may have been murdered on board the ship and her body disposed of at sea, possibly supported by the discovery of a jawbone washed ashore in Aruba in 2010. Initially, there was speculation that it might be related to the case of Natalie Holloway. However, subsequent testing ruled out any connection to the Holloway case, leading authorities to halt further investigation. Despite the fact that there were 9 other Caribbean vacationers that were said to be missing, no DNA testing was done on the material. It was confirmed to be human and likely of Caucasian origin. Amy Lynn Bradley was officially declared legally deceased on March 24, 2010, 12 years after her disappearance, despite the absence of witnesses or her body. Currently, the FBI offers a reward of up to $25,000 for any information leading to the recovery of Amy Lynn Bradley, or for information that could result in the arrest or conviction of those responsible for her disappearance. Additionally, Amy's family has pledged a reward of $250,000 for information leading to her safe return, and an additional $50,000 for information pinpointing her current whereabouts. Despite the passage of time, Amy Lynn Bradley's case continues to resonate deeply with those touched by her story. Her family's unwavering determination, coupled with ongoing efforts from law enforcement and concerned individuals worldwide, reflects a steadfast commitment to uncovering the truth. As theories evolve and investigations persist, the search for Amy remains an open chapter, driven by the hope that one day answers will be found. Until then, her memory endures, and the plea for information stands strong. Thank you for joining us around the fire for this episode, and we'll see you next time. Fireside.
Throughout history, there exist tragedies and mysteries that transcend events, leaving marks on our collective memory. These stories are not just about their profound impact on friends, family, and loved ones, but also society, as the inexplicable circumstances that surround them bring with them intrigue and disbelief. From haunting messages left in remote places to cell phones ringing incessantly from the wreckage long after their owners have passed, each mystery offers both hope and heartache to those left behind. These stories reveal more than the tragedies themselves. They unveil the human spirit tested to its limits, struggling against nature, fate, and the relentless march of time. Regardless of the outcomes, they speak of resilience where loved ones cling to faint signals, refusing to surrender to despair. Each story a reminder of our capacity for hope amidst the darkest of circumstances. Welcome back to Fireside Unsolved, Episode 87, Mysterious Messages Left Behind. At approximately 6:30 p.m. on Tuesday, August 7, 1973, Darlene Ross of Fontana, California, was listening to her CB radio when she intercepted a distressing signal. A young boy's voice broke through the static and pleaded for help, exclaiming, "Help! Please help me!" Responding quickly, Darlene attempted to calm the boy down, while also trying to gather more information. He responded that his father had died and then urgently called out, "Come on, David, help me." The boy, identifying himself as Larry, mentioned being in New Mexico just before his signal was lost. As a former resident of Albuquerque, Darlene Ross swiftly notified New Mexico authorities of the situation. And then, later that night, she reached out to the Albuquerque Journal, which published the story of Larry's distress call in the next day's edition. Reports of the distress calls began flooding in from all over the southwest United States. From as far west as Long Beach, California, various CB radio users, including a professional truck driver, had heard Larry's radio call. Typically, CB transceivers of that era could not broadcast signals far beyond the operator's state. However, the weather conditions that week created an ionospheric skip, which allowed Larry's signal to reach far outside his reported location of New Mexico. Remarkably, the signal reached as far east as Mississippi that day, and soon after, it extended north to Canada. Also on the same day, another CB enthusiast, a woman by the name of Linda King, known by her handle Blue Eyes, managed to encourage Larry to share more details about his situation. Larry reiterated that his father had died and added that he was trapped inside the cab of an overturned pickup truck next to his father's body, with no food or water. He mentioned that he was 6 years old and did not know how to properly use the truck's CB radio, which would explain the signal being heard on multiple channels. As reports of Larry's signal spread to the rest of the United States, 3 separate search and rescue operation teams began mobilizing in New Mexico: the New Mexico State Police, the New Mexico Wing Civil Air Patrol, and the Albuquerque Citizens Radio Association. Clark Speakman of Albuquerque Citizens Radio Association suggested that Larry was likely in southern New Mexico based on radio conversations locals had with him. The Civil Air Patrol deployed several planes equipped with radio direction finders over southern New Mexico and southeastern Arizona, while the state police initiated a ground search in the Sandia Mountains foothills southeast of Albuquerque. The story gained traction when United Press International reported it, highlighting the possibility of it being a hoax, while also noting that Larry seemed unfamiliar with his surroundings and was nearly incoherent at times. Radio operators in the broader Albuquerque area reported that Larry's signal might have originated south of a cement factory in Tijeras Canyon, and searchers converged on this location. Despite these efforts, when the searchers reached the cement factory, all they found were abandoned trucks, cars, and various debris. A helicopter dispatched to investigate an abandoned truck east of the Manzano Mountains also found nothing. As night fell, Larry reported rain at his location, and 4th of July Canyon in the Manzano Mountains was the only location that had rain in the area. Linda King asked Larry to yell into his microphone when he spotted the landing lights of a Las Cruces Civil Air Patrol Piper Cherokee flying overhead the canyon. But again, no results. By Wednesday evening, 150 people equipped with directional finders and radio monitors were searching central New Mexico for Larry's signal. As Thursday ended, critical phone lines at the state police offices were overwhelmed with calls, including reports from families worried about their own missing children named Larry, all of whom were later found safe. Friday, August 10th began with conflicting reports about Larry's signal weakening, suggesting his CB radio batteries were dying. Then, an interesting report came into authorities from a Phoenix CB operator named Frank Laughlin. If you remember in the beginning of this story, Larry was heard saying, "Come on, David, help me." Well, Frank reported a boy named David was claiming to be outside the overturned truck. By Sunday, August 12th, the state police were able to rule out several transmissions as hoaxes, including the voice of David, who was discovered to be a boy in Phoenix playing on his walkie-talkie. 5 days into the operation, searchers had to accept the grim possibility that Larry might have died from exposure or dehydration, should his initial broadcast have been a legitimate cry for help. With all leads exhausted, the search was called off Sunday night. 4 directional finders were left operating in central New Mexico over the following weeks, which would allow his location to be more easily pinpointed if Larry were to broadcast again. On Saturday, August 24, 1973, CB operators in Colorado picked up the voice of a man who claimed to be responsible for the Larry signals. The man boasted about hoaxing the New Mexico State Police over CB radio. Just before midnight, after service station operator Robert Vetter of Denver intervened, The man made several death threats against Vetter and other political figures before his transmission ceased, preventing operators from tracing his location. The death threats were submitted to the Federal Bureau of Investigation, which then passed them to the Federal Communications Commission and the Secret Service for further investigation. Vetter, who had heard the Larry signals earlier in the month, cast doubt on the man's claim of being responsible for those signals. He remarked, "I don't think it was the same person. The voice of the man that made the threat had a Mexican accent, but the other one didn't. I'm not really worried about it. We're getting all the nuts out of the woodwork now." The Larry incident contributed to the FCC establishing regional CB investigation teams in 1974 to address misuse of CB radio. The search efforts also led to the formation of the New Mexico Search and Rescue Council in 1974, reflecting the lasting impact on local emergency response coordination. Madge Hara of Albuquerque Journal magazine reflected in 1983 that while Larry was never found, the legacy of the search continued to inspire search and rescue volunteers, underscoring the importance of their dedication in saving lives, regardless if it was a hoax or not. The afternoon of July 24, 1989, 2 men from Tokyo went missing while mountaineering on the trail from Mount Kurodake to Mount Asahidake in Daisetsuzan National Park. The Hokkaido police conducting an aerial search discovered a large SOS sign. The 2 missing men were soon found and safely rescued approximately 2.5 kilometers north of the SOS sign. The Hokkaido police initially believed that the SOS letters made of wood had been constructed by the 2 rescued individuals. However, after their rescue, the men were unaware of the SOS sign's existence. Suspecting another victim, the police resumed their search by helicopter the next day. This search led to the discovery of human bone fragments bearing signs of animal bites, with some bones appearing to have been broken while the person was still alive. Near the SOS sign, the police found a hole just large enough to fit a human body, containing 4 cassette tapes, a tape recorder, a backpack, amulets, a human skull, a tripod, a pair of men's basketball shoes, 2 cameras, a notebook, and the driver's license of Kenji Iwamura. Iwamura, a 25-year-old office worker from Konan, Aichi Prefecture, had gone missing on July 10, 1984, after setting out to hike Asahidake. When Iwamura failed to return to work a week later, his parents requested a police search, but no trace of him was found at the time. The bones were sent to Asahikawa Medical University, where they were identified as those of a woman aged between 20 to 40 years. Initially, investigators believed that there were 2 men and a woman missing in the park, as the skeleton was identified as female. However, no record of a missing woman in Asahidake existed, and Iwamura was reported to have gone alone into the mountains. The police played the recordings found on the cassette tapes, and one of the tapes featured a young man's voice shouting for help for 2 minutes and 17 seconds. The translation of his plea is as follows: "Help me. The place is where I first met the helicopter. The Sasa is deep and you can't go up. Lift me up from here." The purpose of the SOS tape recording remains unknown, but it is speculated that the man on the recording, who was stuck, may have recorded it in the hope that a search team would hear it before he became too debilitated to speak. Another possibility is that the tape recorder was accidentally switched on while the man was yelling for help. Many have speculated that the man shouting was Iwamura, but when his parents were asked about the recording, they could not confirm that the voice belonged to their son. The remaining tapes contained music from different anime TV shows. The SOS sign was investigated by the Japan Forestry Agency and the Japan Geographical Authority, and after a review of previous topographic map data and aerial photographs, they confirmed that the SOS sign was visible in images taken as far back as September 20th, 1987. The wooden letters of the SOS sign were constructed by stacking large, fallen birch trees, and it was estimated that creating such a giant sign would have taken about 2 days and considerable effort. Investigators speculated that the sign was made by the missing person whose skeleton was found and believed to be Iwamura. However, the autopsy described the body as thin and weak, suggesting it would have been impossible for him to make the sign on his own. Additionally, no axe or tool that could have been used to cut down the trees was found at the site. An acquaintance of Kenji Iwamura testified that Iwamura had been carrying a recording of anime theme songs on a tape and wore the same size basketball shoes found during the search. To this day, the SOS incident is still unsolved. It was on April 4, 2001, that Jean Larson, a paragliding enthusiast from New Zealand, disappeared after taking off from Mystic Point, Australia, a renowned spot for paragliders. Jean had been enjoying the sport with a group, including a doctor, who later became alarmed when Jean did not return to their meeting point as expected. The doctor, who had been paragliding with Larson, reported hearing distressing sounds over the radio later that night. He described hearing a voice and moaning, which he believed belonged to his injured friend, Jean Larson. This prompted immediate concern as it suggested that Larson might be stranded or hurt somewhere in the rugged terrain. Inspector Neil Fursden, the acting police chief at the time, expressed his deep concern about the situation. He emphasized the gravity of the circumstances, noting that the most troubling aspect was the possibility that Jean Larson was out there, waiting to be found. The search efforts intensified as Fursden and his team made repeated attempts to communicate with Larson over the radio. The rescue teams faced a challenging task, navigating the difficult and potentially dangerous landscape around Mystic Point. The continued affirmation over the radio that it was indeed Jean Larson responding gave the search teams a glimmer of hope, but also underscored the dire need to locate him quickly. As night fell, the search continued and the responses over the radio became more telling. Clicks indicated that the person on the other end could see power lines and was injured. Initially focusing on a compact, 1 square kilometer area of rugged terrain, the search eventually expanded to cover an 80 square kilometer region as hopes of finding Larson alive dwindled. On April 10, 2001, tragedy struck when the body of 34-year-old Jean Larson was discovered in dense bushland, approximately 16 kilometers away from the original search area. The extensive search effort involved over 250 people, underscoring the community's commitment to finding Larson. Upon recovering Larson's body, authorities concluded that it would have been impossible for him to have made the radio calls, indicating that he died upon impact with the ground. Inspector Fursden confirmed that when Larson's body was found, his radio was nearby, tuned to a completely different channel than the one used during the search efforts. This revelation added mystery to the tragic incident, leaving lingering questions about what exactly transpired during Larson's final moments in the Australian wilderness. The unimaginable happened in California's San Fernando Valley, when a commuter train carrying 225 passengers collided with a freight train on September 12, 2008, resulting in what became known as the Chatsworth Crash. Among the 25 lives lost was 49-year-old Charles E. Peck, a customer service agent at Delta Airlines based in Salt Lake City. Peck's trip to Los Angeles was for a significant reason. He had come for a job interview at Van Nuys Airport, hoping to secure employment in California so he could be closer to his fiancée. The couple had postponed their wedding plans until they could reside in the same state. On that tragic day in September 2008, Andrea Katz, Charles E. Peck's fiancée, was on her way to pick him up at the train station when she heard the shocking news of the Chatsworth crash on the radio. Peck's parents and siblings, who lived nearby in Los Angeles, rushed to join her in the ordeal that followed. For 12 agonizing hours after the collision, Peck's cell phone, lost in the wreckage, inexplicably placed call after call to his loved ones. His son, brother, stepmother, sister, and fiancé received a total of 35 calls during that nightmarish stretch. Each time they answered, they only heard static, and attempts to call back went straight to voicemail. Despite the eerie and heartbreaking nature of these calls, they fueled hope among Peck's family that he might still be alive, trapped somewhere amidst the wreckage. The incessant calls from Peck's phone prompted search crews to track the signal and focus their efforts once more on the location from which the calls originated, the wreckage of the first train. It was during this intensified search that Peck's body was finally discovered, about an hour after the calls abruptly ceased. Tragically, Charles Peck had died upon impact, yet in a haunting twist his cell phone continued to reach out to those he cherished most, inadvertently guiding rescuers to his remains. To this day, Peck's cell phone has never been found, leaving a poignant reminder of the enduring and mysterious ways in which loved ones can touch our lives, even after they are gone. As we reflect on these stories, we are reminded of the mysteries that accompany tragic events. The messages left behind by those who go missing or perish linger in our thoughts, stirring questions that may never find answers. These mysteries challenge our understanding of fate, resilience, and the boundaries between life and death. They compel us to contemplate the enduring power of hope and the profound impact of loss on those left behind.
In the bustling city of Frankfurt, Germany, a young life was tragically cut short. 13-year-old Tristan Brübach vanished on a seemingly ordinary afternoon in 1998. What followed was a horrifying discovery and a chilling mystery that continues to baffle investigators to this day. Join us on Fireside Unsolved as we delve into the unsolved murder of Tristan Brübach, a case marked by disturbing details, lingering questions, and a relentless pursuit of justice. On Episode 88, The Unsolved Murder of Tristan Brübach. Born on October 3, 1984 in Frankfurt am Main, Germany, Tristan Brübach spent his childhood in the suburban areas of Höchst and Unterliederbach, on the outskirts of the bustling city. His early life was marked by a sense of normalcy, living with his parents Iris and Bernd Brübach. However, this normalcy was shattered in 1995 when Tristan's mother Iris tragically took her own life. This event undoubtedly cast a long shadow over Tristan's formative years, leaving his father Bernd to single-handedly raise their son. Despite the unimaginable loss of his mother at a young age, Tristan developed into a multifaceted young man. While described as shy and reserved in most social settings, a surprising confidence bloomed when it came to animals. Tristan would completely shed his shyness, readily approaching strangers walking their dogs. He'd engage them in conversation, his love for animals a bridge that transcended his initial awkwardness. This passion for creatures great and small stood in stark contrast to his tendency to wander aimlessly through his neighborhood. Content in his own company, Tristan seemed to embrace a life without a specific destination, his path marked by the exploration of his familiar surroundings. The last confirmed sighting of Tristan Brübach came on March 26, 1998. At 3:20 p.m., he was seen in Bruno-Asch-Anlage, a park situated directly across from the Frankfurt Höchst railway station. This seemingly ordinary afternoon, on a day like any other, took a horrific turn when Tristan vanished. School children returning home stumbled upon Tristan's body within the Liederbach tunnel, a passage running alongside the underground section of the Liederbach River. When police arrived at the scene, they found Tristan's body in a state that bore the brutal evidence of a vicious attack. He had been savagely beaten, rendered unconscious before being strangled. The final chilling act was a deep slash across his neck, the official cause of his death. A disturbing aspect of Tristan's murder was that all of his flesh between his waist and thighs had been removed with a sharp object. Left behind near the body, on a cold concrete block, lay the weapon. Initial hope for a suspect emerged when 3 teenagers, separate from those who had discovered the body, came forward that they had witnessed the murder from a distance. Their descriptions of the suspect would turn out to be invaluable. On April 7, 1998, just days after Tristan's funeral, a phone call reached police headquarters. On the other end of the line was a man identifying himself as the murderer.
Polizei? Hier ist Christian Mörder. Wie bitte? Christian Mörder ist hier. Sind Sie? Ja. Und Sie wollen sich selber stellen, oder was? Ja. Ja? Wo sind Sie denn jetzt? Frankfurt Höchst. Frankfurt Höchst? Ja, und wo dort? Am Höchst Bahnhof. Am Bahnhof? Ja. Ich hab ihn umgebracht. Sie haben ihn umgebracht? Ja. Wie sehen Sie denn aus? Wie groß? 1,80. 1,80. Haare? Schwarze. Schwarze Haare. Lange oder kurz? Lange. Lange Haare. Nehmen Sie mich fest.
This potential confession was a development that demanded immediate and careful investigation. With renewed urgency, police raced to the location provided by the caller. However, upon arrival, they found nothing, and the caller has never been identified. A young girl, barely 12 years old, emerged as the first to encounter the suspect. Walking through the very same Liederbach tunnel where Tristan would meet his tragic death later that afternoon, she witnessed a man emerge from behind a bush. His appearance was unsettling, a hat obscuring his face, a single ponytail dangling precariously from beneath it. Several days later, a man, seemingly troubled and seeking help, approached a law firm. His cryptic statement, "I've only just been released from prison and I've already screwed up," gave the lawyer pause and made him remember the man's face. While the lawyer redirected him to a firm specializing in criminal cases, the man never visited the attorney he was referred to. His motives and connection to the case, if any, remain a frustrating, unresolved mystery. By now, the descriptions and witness statements were combined to generate a composite sketch, which was then distributed to law enforcement worldwide. The investigation centered on a single prime suspect, a male believed to be between 20 and 30 years old. A distinctive detail, a cleft lip or a large scar on his upper lip, coupled with a generally unkempt appearance, created a clear image in the minds of witnesses who had seen him. Despite this widespread effort, no matches surfaced, leaving the perpetrator seemingly invisible. Then, a woman who had previously tutored Tristan saw the sketch on the news and came forward with a troubling revelation. She claimed to have seen Tristan just days before his murder in the company of a man strikingly similar to the man in the composite sketch. The woman further stated that she felt the man looked very familiar to her, suggesting a potential pre-existing connection between him and Tristan. However, the woman believed to be the last person to see Tristan alive at Brübach provided a conflicting description. She described encountering Tristan alone at a park bench where they engaged in a brief conversation before she departed. Upon turning back, she witnessed two men flanking Tristan on the bench. This detail significantly narrowed the time frame for the abduction, placing Tristan with these unidentified individuals at approximately 3 p.m., mere minutes before his murder occurred about a quarter-mile away, in the Brübach tunnel. The case now presented a chilling possibility of a potential killer with an accomplice. In 2016, the case took a dramatic turn when the Hessen State Office of Criminal Investigations began scrutinizing a man by the name of Manfred Seal, a seemingly upstanding citizen who had passed away 2 years prior in 2014. Seal's life appeared perfect, a stable job held for decades, a family, an active role in his community, and even participation in a jazz band. However, a horrifying truth emerged after his death. While sifting through his belongings stored in a rental facility, Seal's daughter stumbled upon a horrifying collection, human remains and diaries overflowing with nightmarish descriptions and sketches of murders. Authorities were in disbelief with the discovery, leading them to make Seal a suspect in the murders of at least 5 women and potentially as many as 9 between the years 1971 and 2004. This new development brought a dark cloud over Tristan's case, raising the chilling possibility that his murder could be linked to a prolific serial killer operating under the radar for decades. Despite the horrifying discovery of Manfred Seal's potential crimes, saying that he murdered Tristan was quite a leap. Seal primarily targeted vulnerable women on the fringes of society. Tristan, a young boy, did not fit this profile. Seal's victims primarily fell into vulnerable demographics: sex workers, those struggling with drug addiction, and individuals with mental illnesses. While the investigation acknowledged Seal's disturbing displays of sadism and the removal of body parts from his victims, a crucial detail remained absent: any concrete evidence linking Seal to Tristan. So, in October 2017, Frankfurt police officially ruled out Seal as a suspect. The Frankfurt and Main Prosecutor's Office remains committed to finding Tristan Brübach's killer. They are offering a substantial reward for any information that leads to a conviction, a powerful symbol of their dedication and hope for finding Tristan's killer. Someone out there holds the key to unlocking this mystery. A small detail, a whisper of information, anything that could crack the case wide open. Perhaps someone with a nagging suspicion, information they haven't considered important, or a recollection triggered by a news report or YouTube video. Any fragment of information could be the missing piece that brings this agonizing chapter to a close. If you have any details, no matter how insignificant they may seem, please come forward by contacting the Frankfurt am Main Prosecutor's Office, which we will leave in the description of this video. The murder of Tristan Brübach remains an open wound in the heart of Frankfurt, and the country of Germany as a whole. Despite a relentless investigation, years of searching, and a substantial reward, Tristan's killer walks free to this day. By seeking answers and holding those responsible accountable, we can honor Tristan's legacy and keep his spirit alive. Let's transform our grief into a powerful force for change, ensuring that Tristan's story continues to inspire and drive us towards a more kind and just world. Together, we can all make sure his memory endures, shining as a beacon of hope and resilience. Until next time, we'll keep your spot for you. Fireside. Welcome back to Fireside Unsolved, and thank you to all our amazing subscribers for your continued support. Your enthusiasm and engagement makes the channel thrive, and it's blown us away of the growth we've seen in the past month. We also want to extend a warm welcome to our new watchers and subscribers. Thank you for joining our community. We're excited to have you with us as we dive into more intriguing mysteries and unsolved cases. Today, we're going on a journey all over the world, to some of the most mysterious ancient places on Earth. Aramu Muru in Peru, Australia's Stonehenge, Rupkund Lake in India, Hauska Castle in the Czech Republic, and the Superstition Mountains. These sites are steeped in history, folklore, and unexplained phenomena that continue to baffle researchers and captivate the imaginations of people around the world. Let's get into the mysteries of these fascinating places on episode 89, Mysterious Ancient Places on Earth. Nestled in the remote wilderness of Peru, close to the waters of Lake Titicaca and near the border with Bolivia, lies a mysterious stone carving known as Aramu Muru. This abandoned monument was brought to light in the early 1990s by a mountaineering guide named José Luis Delgado Mamani, who stumbled upon it while exploring the Peruvian countryside. What he found was a colossal rock formation smoothed to a flat, imposing surface, featuring a small, intriguing alcove. Believed to be an unfinished Incan construction project, this flat stone slab measures an impressive 23 feet, and at its center, a T-shaped niche stands carved into the rock, towering 6 feet and 6 inches tall. Known to the indigenous people as Puerta de Hayumarca, or the Gate of the Gods, this mysterious doorway is steeped in legends of the supernatural. According to legend, an Incan priest once placed a golden disc into a small depression in the niche, causing the door to open. This golden disc, said to have dropped from the sky, is central to the myths surrounding the site. Stories speak of individuals vanishing through the portal and of extraordinary sightings, including tall, otherworldly beings accompanied by glowing orbs of light walking through the doorway. These stories of celestial artifacts and mystical doorways draw countless visitors, each hoping to experience the magic and mystery that surround the Gate of the Gods. The true purpose and origins of this mysterious gateway remain a tantalizing puzzle that continues to captivate the imagination of all who encounter its ancient stones. In 2015, Richard Patterson, a teacher from New South Wales and amateur historian, uncovered new information that led to the mysterious location of Australia's answer to Stonehenge. Richard discovered letters referencing the rock formation written by the late Australian journalist Frederick Slater in the 1930s and 1940s while working for the Brunswick Valley Historical Society. Slater, who was the president of the Australian Archaeological Society in the 1930s, had detailed the location of Australia's Stonehenge in his letters. Slater's findings had been largely forgotten, as his views were not widely supported during the time. To say it wasn't widely supported is an understatement, as the site was actually ordered to be demolished by the farmer who owned the land where the formation sat. The farmer, fearing the loss of his livelihood if news spread, tasked his then 15-year-old son with destroying the sacred site in 1940. Stephen and Evan Strong, father and son, have used Slater's letters to locate the site, approximately 40 kilometers away from Mullumbimby. Slater believed the mound where the 185 stones originally stood was the oldest form of temple in the world. He noted that the stones featured carved symbols and asserted that all languages had roots in Australia. According to the father and son, Slater wrote that, "The language which we speak today is not Anglo-Saxon, but just Aboriginal." Stephen Strong said, "We know of people walking thousands of kilometers to perform special ceremonies at this site." Slater also mentioned in his letters that he had compiled a dictionary with 28,000 words he had discovered from the site. Slater talked about the beginning of time and humanity starting in Australia and language beginning here. He was working on the first language. The Strongs, who continue to explore Slater's interpretations, theorized that this formalized method of communication was composed of numbers, hand signs, stone arrangements, elements, trees, letter sounds, and animal shapes. They believe that the intricate combination of all manner of apparently unrelated themes and disciplines creating a seamless blend into one formal script is in contradiction to the expected rudimentary linguistic starting point and calls into question many assumptions relating to human ascension and development. The Strongs and Richard Patterson have drawn up maps and impressions of what the formation would have looked like, using maps sketched 4 months before it was destroyed in 1940. Stephen Strong also believes that they discovered an additional 8 other sites, including one just 50 meters away, measuring 70 meters by 5 meters. Rupkund, locally known as Mystery Lake or Skeleton Lake, is a high-altitude glacial lake located in the Uttarakhand state of India. Situated in the lap of the Trishul Massif within the Himalayas, this lake sits at an elevation of approximately 5,020 meters, or 16,470 feet. The area around Rupkund is uninhabited, surrounded by rock-strewn glaciers and snow-clad mountains, making it a popular trekking destination. The lake, which varies substantially in size but is seldom more than 40 meters in diameter, remains frozen during the winter. But, when the snow melts, hundreds of human skeletons scattered around its edges and on the bottom are visible. Initially, these remains were thought to be from a semi-legendary event in the 9th century, where a single group perished in a sudden violent hailstorm. However, scientific research later revealed that the remains belonged to 3 distinct groups who died in 2 separate events around 800 CE and 1800 CE. The skeletons were rediscovered in 1942 by Hari Kishan Madhwal, a forest ranger of the Nanda Devi National Park. Alongside the skeletons, wooden artifacts, iron spearheads, leather slippers, and rings were also found. In 2003, a team from National Geographic retrieved about 30 skeletons, some still bearing flesh. Local legend tells of King Raja Jastaval of Kanauj, his pregnant wife Rani Balampa, their servants, a dance troupe, and others who perished near Rupkund Lake during a pilgrimage to the Nanda Devi shrine due to a severe hailstorm. The Anthropological Survey of India studied the skeletons in the 1950s, revealing head injuries likely caused by round objects falling from above, supporting the hailstorm theory. Radiocarbon dating of the bones at Oxford University's Radiocarbon Accelerator Unit pinpointed the time of death to around 850 CE, plus or minus 30 years. More recent studies combining radiocarbon dating with genome-wide analysis of 38 individuals found remains from different eras and 3 distinct groups. One group, dating to around 800 CE, had typical South Asian ancestry. Another group, dating to around 1800 CE, included individuals with Southeast Asian ancestry, and others with ancestry from the Eastern Mediterranean, particularly mainland Greece and Crete. These findings challenge the idea of a single catastrophic event, suggesting instead that the older South Asian remains were deposited over an extended period, while the younger remains were deposited in a single event. There is growing concern about the loss of skeletons due to tourists taking bones as souvenirs, which is actually very weird, so please do not do that. The district administration has expressed the need to protect the area, reporting that tourists, trekkers, and researchers are transporting the skeletons on mules. Efforts are being made to develop the area as an ecotourism destination to conserve the skeletons and protect this unique site. Huska Castle, an early Gothic fortress, stands in the municipality of Blatz in the Liberec region of the Czech Republic, approximately 47 kilometers, or 29 miles north of Prague. It is renowned for being one of the best preserved castles from its period. Notable features include a predominantly Gothic chapel, a green chamber with late Gothic paintings, and a knight's drawing room. According to folklore, Huska Castle was built over one of the gateways to hell to prevent demons trapped in the lower levels from escaping into the world. The building's defensive walls were constructed facing inward to keep the demons trapped within the thick walls closest to the hole. Constructed in the latter half of the 13th century, the castle was likely commissioned by Bohemian ruler Ottokar II of Bohemia during his reign, years 1253 to 1278, to serve as an administrative center for managing royal estates. It later passed through the hands of various aristocrats. The castle was built in a remote area of forests, swamps, and mountains, with no external fortifications, no kitchen, no occupants at its completion, and only a cistern to collect rainwater. During World War II, the Wehrmacht occupied Huska Castle, reportedly conducting experiments related to the occult. Locals believed the Nazis were using the powers of hell for their experiments, contributing to numerous myths about their activities there. The castle, open to the public since 1999, attracts tourists with its chapel adorned with fading frescoes and murals depicting demon-like and animal-like figures. Legends tell of prisoners sentenced to death being offered pardons if they consented to be lowered into the pit to report their findings. The first prisoner to be lowered began screaming after a few seconds, and upon being pulled back up, appeared to have aged 30 years, with wrinkles and white hair. According to Prague Tourism, The castle is reputedly haunted by various ghosts, including a bullfrog human creature, a headless horse, and an old woman. Located east of Greater Phoenix, the Superstition Mountains rise majestically over 6,000 feet above the Sonoran Desert. The superstitions have long captured the imagination of those who live nearby and those who visit. The name Superstition Mountains is believed to have been inspired by the Acamel O'odham people, who inhabited the region long before European settlers arrived. According to their oral history, the mountains were a place of mystery and danger. They spoke of eerie sounds echoing through the canyons, unexplained disappearances, and mysterious deaths that seemed to defy explanation. These stories fostered a deep-seated fear and reverence for the mountains among the Acamel O'odham. In the 1800s, local farmers and settlers, influenced by the legends and the palpable sense of mystery that enveloped the superstitions, officially named the range in honor of the indigenous stories. This designation not only acknowledged the cultural heritage of the Acamel O'odham, but also cemented the mountain's reputation as a place of intrigue and superstition. One of the most enduring legends associated with the Superstition Mountains is the tale of the Lost Dutchman's gold mine. According to the story, a German immigrant named Jacob Waltz discovered a rich gold mine in the 19th century and kept its location a closely guarded secret. Despite numerous searches over the years, the mine has never been found, fueling speculation and adventurous expeditions to this day. This rich history, combined with the cultural narratives of the indigenous people and early settlers, creates a multi-dimensional experience. The area's geological features, such as towering cliffs, deep canyons, and unique rock formations, tell a story millions of years in the making. These ancient sites continue to captivate and intrigue us with their histories and legends. Each location offers a glimpse into the past, challenging our understanding of history and the unknown. Thank you for joining us on this journey through some of the world's most mysterious ancient places. If you enjoyed this video, please like, comment, share, subscribe, and hit that notification bell for more explorations into the world's most fascinating mysteries. Until next time, keep seeking the unknown and stay safe. We'll see you next time. Fireside.
Katherine Korzilius was a vibrant, precocious 6-year-old with a laugh that could light up even the gloomiest day. Born in 1989, she was the cherished daughter of Paul Korzilius, a man whose name was synonymous with rock and roll as the tour manager for the iconic John Bon Jovi. Despite the glitz and glamour associated with her father's world, Katherine's life unfolded in the quiet, sun-drenched suburbs of Austin, Texas. The Korzilius family called Elder Circle home, a seemingly idyllic neighborhood where manicured lawns and towering oak trees created a picture-perfect facade. It was a world away from the raucous concert stages her father inhabited, a place where childhood innocence reigned supreme. Yet this bubble of tranquility would shatter on an ordinary August afternoon. A day that began with mundane errands would morph into a nightmare that would haunt the community for years to come. On that fateful day, August 7th, 1996, Katherine, her mother Nancy, and her brother Chris left home for a routine outing. They stopped at their math tutor, Subway for sandwiches, and picked up golf clubs for Paul's birthday. As the afternoon drew to a close, the family headed for home. Before home, they made one final stop at the community mailbox, which was a ritual Katherine adored. In the simple act of retrieving the family mail, she found a sense of independence, a small victory in her journey to adulthood. Nancy recalls the sparkle in her daughter's eyes as she eagerly approached the weathered wooden box. "I had allowed Katherine to do that because I knew she was ready to be more independent, and she had done it before." The familiar route home split in two at the community mailbox. While Nancy and Chris opted for the longer, circuitous drive, Katherine embarked on the shorter, more direct path. A sense of normalcy hung heavy in the air as Nancy and Chris pulled into the driveway. "It's a short walk, probably less than a quarter of a mile. When Chris and I got home, we unloaded our car and we started putting our packages away." Then, a mother's intuition, sharp and primal, stirred Nancy. Katherine should have been back home by now. Nancy enlisted her son Chris with a simple task: go find his sister. When Chris returned, his face was filled with confusion and fear. Katherine was nowhere to be found. It was at that moment they knew something terrible had happened. Time seemed to stand still as Nancy and Chris frantically searched for Katherine. Then, they found her. A mere 6 houses from their home, a tiny figure lay on the unforgiving asphalt. It was Katherine. Curled into a fetal position, she lay there unconscious. Yet, a flicker of hope ignited within Nancy. Her daughter's chest rose and fell in a faint rhythm. Nancy scooped Katherine into her arms, put her in the car, and raced to the hospital. I could tell that she was unconscious, but she was breathing. I knew it was too hot to leave her on the pavement. I know that it's never a good idea to move somebody if you don't know what their injuries are, but I just couldn't leave her there. And I think having driven her to the emergency room before, knowing the way very well, I felt confident that I was able to drive that drive. 25 minutes later, they arrived at Seton Medical Center. The weight of the world seemed to crash down on them when the doctors delivered the diagnosis: a fractured skull. The once familiar contours of their lives dissolved into a surreal nightmare. With each passing moment, hope dwindled further. And then the inevitable happened. Katherine, the girl with the infectious laughter, never regained consciousness and died later that day. At the time of the tragic accident, Paul was in New York City on business and arrived back in Texas too late to say goodbye to Katherine. I arranged for a charter aircraft so I could come directly home, but in the end it was too late anyway. I arrived at 12:30 in the morning, and I believe she was pronounced dead at 11:30 that night, an hour before my arrival. The initial assumption was stark: a tragic hit-and-run killed Katherine. The image of a frightened child struck down by a fleeing motorist was a narrative that resonated with the community's collective horror. Yet, as the investigation deepened, cracks began to appear in this seemingly straightforward explanation. Elder Circle was not a thoroughfare. Cars were a rare sight, and the physical evidence spoke volumes. There were no frantic squeals of tires, no shattered glass, no debris strewn across the asphalt to corroborate the hit-and-run theory. Neighbors were equally baffled. No one had witnessed anything out of the ordinary that day. The road itself offered ample visibility, and a driver with even a modicum of attention would have had a full 1/10 of a mile to react if they saw Katherine in the street. And then there was the inexplicable mystery of Katherine's location. The child who should have been walking towards home was discovered facing in the opposite direction, away from her home, which defied logic. The physical evidence on Katherine's body told a story that starkly contradicted the hit-and-run narrative, and the more the investigators probed, the more the hit-and-run theory crumbled. Other than her fractured skull, there were no catastrophic injuries, no shattered bones or internal bleeding, consistent with the violent impact of a car collision. The absence of these injuries suggested a different scenario. Instead, the medical examiner found minor abrasions on Katherine's extremities, wounds more likely to occur after a fall than a high-speed impact. According to Robert Bayardo, the medical examiner of Travis County, the injuries that Katherine sustained could have been the result of either jumping from a moving vehicle, being thrown from a moving vehicle, or falling from a moving vehicle. Sergeant Philip Kemp, a seasoned law enforcement officer, found himself in uncharted territory. The absence of eyewitnesses, coupled with the perplexing lack of any physical evidence, created a perfect storm of uncertainty. "I've worked on cases where there was very little evidence, but not one where there was no evidence," he said. A theory born from desperation rather than any evidence began to take shape, that perhaps Katherine had been clinging to the back of her mother's car before slipping off as they drove through the familiar streets of Elder Circle. The theory of Katherine holding onto the back of the car was a desperate attempt to provide a logical explanation for the inexplicable. However, the Korzilius family, consumed by grief, refused to accept this explanation. They hired private investigator Barbara O'Brien, a seasoned professional with a reputation for unraveling complex cases. O'Brien's keen eye for detail quickly dismantled the hit-and-run theory. The scorching August heat rendered the idea of a child clinging to a moving vehicle unrealistic. The car's physical structure offered limited options for a child's grip: a slippery bar on the back of the vehicle, or a door handle that would inevitably open if held. And then there was the matter of Katherine's left thumb, broken and immobilized in a cast at the time, making it impossible that she was able to maintain a secure hold. Finally, The thought of Nancy being oblivious to her daughter hanging onto the car's rear was a glaring oversight. The last possibility of what may have happened to Katherine was much more sinister. A vacant lot, a mere 30 yards from the mailbox and close to their home, became a focal point. A K-9 unit brought in days after the tragedy picked up Katherine's scent within the lot. This discovery suggested a horrifying scenario. Katherine was walking towards the lot when she was abducted. Investigators point to the meticulous arrangement of Katherine's body upon discovery. Her hair, her clothes, her posture, everything seemed unnaturally composed, as if someone had staged her lifeless body. The image of a child snatched away from the safety of her neighborhood, murdered, and then carefully placed for discovery, was a haunting possibility that could not be ignored. Unfortunately, with each passing day, the case grew colder. No suspects emerged, and the initial theories have been largely dismissed. Nancy Korzilius, Katherine's mother, became a figure of both sympathy and scrutiny in the community. While initially considered a potential suspect based on the theory of Katherine falling from the car, the growing body of evidence pointed away from this tragic accident. A year after the tragic death of Katherine Korzilius, neighbors planted a tree and affixed a plaque bearing Katherine's name near her home, a small gesture to honor the memory of a child taken far too soon. The memory of Katherine Korzilius became a stark reminder of the fragility of innocence and the enduring power of a mother's love. The incident was immortalized by John Bon Jovi in the song August 7th, 4:15, the date and time of Katherine's death. John Bon Jovi said, "I think if Paul and Nancy as parents knew how it happened, perhaps it could help them with the closure of this tragic event. Nothing that anyone can say or do is ever going to bring their daughter back to them, but it's twice as hard not knowing what happened." Despite the passage of time, the case remains a mystery. Thank you for joining us for another episode of Fireside Unsolved. If you haven't already, please like and subscribe to help the channel grow. Until next time, take it easy and be easy, you filthy bastards.